Hey, yeah, what's up? This is Disciple Marshall Occurrence Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day. Hey, yeah, so this message basically is going to be about Donald Trump knowing about COVID way before COVID outbreak. So you got to remember something. America is notorious for covering up the sins and the mistakes of white men and white leadership in government. I just think it's safe to say that. It's safe to say that. It's definitely safe to say they cover up their mistakes. As far as leadership, yeah. And white men, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Full circle to the truth. So, while you sitting up wondering what's going on, don't be a moron, okay? They knew about this. Donald Trump knew about COVID back in February. All coming on what? What's his November, December, January? For 3 months from now, it'll be a year. How long he knew about it? Yeah, yeah. Okay, we're coming up on 2 years now of COVID, and the reality still has not set home into people's minds. Okay, let's put it this way. Let me take Donald Trump out the picture so you can, because even people, you will be amazed. Even people that are non-white, you have these blinders on when it comes to the mistakes and sins of white people and American leadership. So let me take all of it off and put somebody like Obama in office. Okay, let's say Obama was in office 2020. 2020, he was in office, right? He finds out there's a disease, a virus. He finds out and does nothing. This is Obama now. This is if Obama was in office. This disease then began to spread months later after he finds out that it was after not complying after finding out. And it just takes over. It destroys the livelihood of many businesses that's never going to come back. It changes the whole culture of America. Obama's still in office. Now, what do you think the American community would have done? Seeing their parents die in nursing homes, seeing death of even zoo animals all across even the world. Now think about what these racist white Americans would be thinking about Obama not complying after he knew this that about this disease that is now taking over the country. Do you think people would care if he didn't know what it was? Do you think people would really care with this much death on the horizon? Do you think they would care if he just hesitated because out of ignorance? Do you think people would care about that? You think people would have more complete consideration knowing that this man knew? Now, if Obama was in office, white people would have no care or consideration about why he hesitated and why he didn't do this and that. They wouldn't care. With this much death and it's still going on now, they would blame Obama. You see how they blaming Obamacare? You see how they keep bringing up Obamacare? You don't even got to know about what Obamacare is. All you know is they keep blaming Obama for what it's done. They blaming Obama probably and saying Obamacare is doing this, Obamacare is doing that. See, his name was stamped on that, and they're all over it. They still all over it. Just imagine if if a disease had came that we still would be dealing with, and it would be as a result of him not responding promptly. Yeah. What do you think? How do you think these racist white people and all these white people in white America be like? What do you think they'll be like? Oh, well, he just didn't know what was going on. They already don't like him. So you can conclude that the reason why white America is so quiet because it's so much of a mess up that Donald Trump didn't respond promptly and get a hold of COVID. It looks so bad for the White House that it probably could start an uprising and revolution, and that's the truth. If you really knew it was his fault, what would you do? That's my question. That's for America. If you knew it was his fault, what would you do? Because this is my theory on it. I'm not saying this is factual. This is my theory on it. My theory on it is, put yourself in this guy's shoes. 2020 was election year. You know that, right? We happened to get this virus on election year. This is something a lot of short-sighted people, I'm going to be using this word a lot throughout my videos, short-sighted people, this is another thing that short-sighted people did not think about. You're not thinking about this. This man had this virus on his table in front of him in election year. Okay? Election year. So this is a man that's thirsty to be president. Obviously, he ain't got the goods, but he want to be. So he'll want to be. He's not a natural politician. He didn't do any good, so he's a wannabe. All right. You don't, when you execute and you get the job done, no one can say you're a wannabe. You was meant to do it. All right. You was meant to do it, whether people like it or not. Okay? So, it's election year, 2020. A lot of y'all didn't think about this. This is election year. He gets into office, he's in office, election year, 2020, and this disease comes on the scene. Now, he thirsty for it to be the president. He could have easily put PPE, masks, and gloves for free all around the country in place and prompted the community during election year, and it would have just looked good. It would have just looked good for him to just say, hey, yeah, hold a press conference. It's election year. You remember, you do, if it's boo-boo on the sidewalk, you clean it up because it's election year. That part. You feel me? It's something to do to look good. Okay? So he could have held a press meeting just to look good, man. Okay, yes, it's this virus, and I'm gonna put PPE all around the country, And make sure everyone's taken care of. Every city, every metropolis, you're gonna have free gloves. You're gonna have free masks. Remember, y'all had to pay for the mask half of the times. The mask wasn't for free. Them gloves wasn't for free. Not all around the country. Not all at these department stores. You had to go out your way to get them free gloves and masks if they were some. If there were some. This man could have put PPE everywhere all across the country and could have prevented the spreading. Okay? He didn't do that. So he put no PPE out in the beginning all across the country. No gloves, no masks, nowhere, which would have prevented hundreds of thousands of cases. Because people were just not aware. They were just not taking it seriously. And some people just wasn't buying gloves. They just wasn't getting masks. Okay? So he didn't do that. The next thing he didn't do was catch the eye of the storm of COVID. You remember in the beginning when we all realized we had this virus that was not going away, when it first really dawned on you that it's getting worse. Oh my God, it's getting worse. And you remember when all these politicians and people were saying we need to get everyone tested. I don't know if y'all remember that. Testing was the first thing they wanted done in the country. They wanted everyone to get tested. Now that may sound weird to you now because it's just how things are and how we go about how COVID is how we even deal with it and maneuver with it and dance with it, if you will. It sounds funny for me to say it, but that's what they was doing. They wanted everyone to get tested. You don't get tested now unless you feel something, unless something's going on, then that's when you go get tested. They wanted everyone to just be getting tested. And then it just stopped. The whole desire for everyone to get tested just stopped. They just stopped talking about it. Donald Trump stopped talking about everyone getting tested. And it just spread it and spread it and spread it and spread it and spread it. And if they had stayed aggressive about getting everyone tested, then we could have seen the concentrate places where COVID was, and we could have isolated those areas from the rest of the country. If you would have known where it's spiking, then you could have isolated and had people stay away from those areas and traveling through those areas and vacationing through those areas. And then you could have seen the eye of the storm. Just like when you watch the news and you see when they show hurricanes and you see the eye of the storm, you see where it's at, you see where the area is affecting. That's what the tests would have done if President Trump would have stayed aggressive about getting everybody tested. And it would have shown the eye of the storm in the country, and we could have isolated it where it was at. Now it's everywhere. But in the beginning, it had to have been in concentrated places. It wasn't everywhere in the beginning. It was in concentrated places. He didn't stay aggressive about it. It got out of control. Y'all didn't blame him for that. And what they should have did was take big department stores like the Kmart's, the Walmart's, in every great metropolis. They should have had big testing stations to get everyone tested And big, great metropolises and even little towns could have traveled 4 and 5 hours from those to those metropolises and got tested. Because that's how desperate people were. Now people, man, you can't get people to even do nothing. You can't get them to do vaccine testing, nothing now. But in the beginning, when everyone was desperate for answers and fearful of this disease, people would have been more willing to comply. And then we could have found the eye of the storm. So who do you blame? Donald Trump. You blame Donald Trump for why America is suffering the way they are now. Because if PPE would have been at these, if we would have had these big stations to get people tested, we could have offered also PPE, masks, and gloves there while they getting tested. Could have seen the eye of the storm, and we wouldn't be in the situation possibly that we're in today. Why is the greatest country per se in the world in this situation? Why? You ask yourself, with all the technology, all the things that we have here, why did it spread like this even above other countries? This is stuff that people don't think. So I'm doing the thinking for you. Okay? I'm doing the thinking for you. If we would have knew, okay, if he had knew and complied and done all of this, right? He could have we definitely could have saved lives. We could have saved lives. We could have saved lives. So you have to ask yourself, why did he not do this just to look good for election year? This was election year when he was going to be voting, when we were going to be voting. He could have done all of this, and look good for the people. Or here's part of my other theory, the other part. Why did he could have held back all these forces of helping just so he can come in and clean it up and look better. I'm gonna say that again if y'all didn't get it. He could have intentionally held back his response just so he can come in and clean up what he thought was going to be a little virus just so he looked better for election year. Because remind you, this man is in office. He wants to stay in office. Why didn't he do all the stuff to look decent and look good? Why didn't he do that? Why did he hesitate? I think in my mind that he hesitated so that he could let it get out of control just a little bit, because he thought it was going to be the equivalent of the swine flu or something like that, the likes of that, something he can come in and clean up. He didn't know it was going to be this big. He was going to let it get out of control a little bit, come in, fix it up, and he gets reelected. And then work like that. It's something to think about. So he could have just let all of that happen just so he can come in and clean it up. And then y'all will think, oh man, we definitely gonna reelect him. He helped us, he saved us from this virus. So why did this virus get so out of control? And this is the greatest country in the world, in the country. in the world. This is the greatest country in the world. So why did it get out of just get out of control so bad? This is what you gotta think about. Like I said, I'm doing this thinking for you. Why did it get out of control so bad? Because Donald Trump hesitated and held back and put us in this situation. Look at all the other countries everywhere. Look at all the other countries. They're not doing as bad as us. So why couldn't we be like them? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? I'm helping you think. Why couldn't we be like the rest of these other countries? Why couldn't we be like them? This is the greatest country in the world. We always love to say that, especially military people. Greatest country in the world, greatest country in the world, greatest country in the world. So then why are we suffering higher than other countries? And this comes from the East. And other countries in the East are doing better than the West. Because this man, Donald Trump, hesitated on response. Response matters. Response mattered in this situation, and it's too late now. In the beginning, it matters what you do with a virus like this. It matters. It mattered what we would do, what we was supposed to do. What we were supposed to do was to track the eye of the storm, like I said, and put out PPE all throughout the country. I mean, just throwing out boxes and boxes of gloves. Who cares about the price? Throwing out boxes of gloves, boxes of even glasses, even those PPE glasses if you want them. And, the masks, of course. This response would have made the country more serious. So the reason why we're suffering more than other countries is because of the late response of Donald Trump, and he knew it was serious. He said he downgraded it. That's what he said. He said he downgraded it so that people would not panic. This is not that was not the time to act like how you act with your wife. I know you're trying to be, you be the iron, you have your body, your spine is strong as iron with your wife, and you try to comfort her and all this and not show no weakness. But we're not your wife. We want to know the facts. We want to know what's going on. We want to know how bad it really is. Because it's inevitable anyway, as we see. So the reason why you're suffering, I'm going to keep making videos till you get this. I'm going to keep doing it this year, next year, until you understand, until it's bolted down in history that Donald Trump is the reason why America is suffering the way they are, because of his lack of quick response. And if it would have been a Democrat, he may have been assassinated. If it had been Obama, he may have been assassinated. Because the white people they're not going to forget. They're not going to forget. They don't forget when it comes to black people. If a black person would have done this, they would have been faced with this disease like we are every day, they would have assassinated Obama. But they hide the sins and mistakes of white men. I have to conclude that when I know their response would have been different if it would have been Obama. If Obama would have been in office, they would have wanted him dead because the disease, his response was slow and the disease is ravaging the community. Okay? And that's the bottom line. That's why I have to say, no one's saying nothing because he's white, because if it would have been a black man, they would have been saying something. And I'm trying to show you that. You act like you don't know what's going on, and everybody do. They just are hiding it because he was white. But you ignorant, a lot of you Americans, and you act, oh, I just don't know why it's here so bad. You don't know why it's here so bad. It's here so bad because Donald Trump was slow to respond. So it got out of control. In other words, it became a wildfire that just got out of control that they couldn't handle. But when it was little and small and concentrate places, they could have suffocated the fire. That's what I'm trying to show you. That's what I'm trying to show you, man. And the whole reason why that's not considered, because it was the mistake came from a person in government leadership that was white. Okay? And you're still looking for someone to blame. It's not China, it's Donald Trump. It's no one else but Donald Trump.